Hello and good morning from outside West Ealing Station. I'm about to go on the train that's over there that I can see right now on platform 5, the Bay platform. It's GWR's brand new battery train, which they've actually been trialling for over 12 months now, and they've invited me to spend the day with them to ride up and down the Greenford branch and try out their new train. Yes, this is a Class 230 train, an old London Underground District Line unit that now has this new designation. And for just over a year now, GWR have been thoroughly testing them on the Greenford branch line. The Greenford branch line runs between West Ealing for just an 11-minute trip up to Greenford, where it then returns back to the Bay platform at West Ealing. Traditionally, this has always been operated by a diesel unit, but what's different about GWR's Class 230 is the extensive work that's been done to it to make it a fast charge battery train, and they're almost at the point now where they can bring it into passenger service. Before that happens, driver familiarisation is taking place, so I'm out today on the line to talk to their engineers to find out how this train works, and then also we get to go and have a look at the Greenford East signal box which is nearby, and then we're also taking the battery train onto the nearby new North Main Line, and this may be the only time that the battery train ever gets to travel here. So let's find out about how this train is powered with that battery technology.
So this train it's got batteries on it, it's completely battery powered, no generators or backup, no OLE, and it charges through a special fast charging system. It's the same train that went to the COP26 conference in 2021, and that's when we put on the batteries that were capable of a fast charge.
So when the train arrives at West Ealing, an RFID sensor that's on the train is detected by a tag in the rails to tell the system that the train is approaching the platform. The shoes on the train are then lowered down by air pressure. The shoes ride up the charging rails, clearing away any debris such as leaves or snow that may be there, and then when the train comes to a stop, the interlocking system then kicks in and charges the train for around the 3 to 4 minutes that it's at the platform before it makes its journey back to Greenford. And by doing this all day on every trip, it keeps the train topped up with charge for the whole day.
When we come out the depot in the morning, when we get here, the train is probably at around 75% state of charge. Tops up to about 85, and then it burbles around 85-80% all day long, just like a little sawtooth. So you've always got quite a significant reserve on the train.
As you'd expect from being tested for over a year, there's a whole bunch of monitoring equipment on board which GWR have been scrutinising carefully. Jonathan talks us through it.
So we have the battery train which we're on right now, so we can monitor live data from the battery train we're on, and we can also monitor the status of the charging system at West Ealing. So on this screen we can see speed of the train and the state of charge of its batteries, and so we can see whether it's charging, whether it's moving, how much the battery is discharging and so on, which is very important to make sure for control that the battery train isn't running out, because if we don't charge and we keep running the train, obviously over the day the batteries will slowly drop, and we don't want it to end up marooned. So this state of charge monitoring is an important aspect.
Jonathan knows that I'm a fan of a Sharpie drawn map. Did you draw this from memory?
Almost.
That's amazing. So he's drawn a little map. But the exciting news is that we might be going for a ride on the new North Main Line. Is that correct? Which will be a first. So we're taking the GWR battery train onto the new North Main Line, which is the bit coloured in brown here, not red. But I like how you've done the Greenford branch in green as well. You've got that absolutely correct. And this Class 230 is of course an old London Underground D-stock train. I'm on a District Line train, except it's not. It's a Class 230, and it's purple. All the handrails are purple. Instead of being GWR green, it's like being on, I don't want to say purple train, because that's something else. But to clarify, not the first D-stock ex Viva Rail train I've been on. The ones that used to be on the Bletchley line, though, they were all diesel. The ones that I do believe are still running on the Transport for Wales Bidston line, they're hybrids, they're diesel and battery. The ones on the Isle of Wight, they're third rail electric, but these, and we're just putting into Greenford, these are pure battery. It's a battery train. At Greenford, we head over to Greenford East signal box, where the top end of the Greenford branch line, where the battery train runs, is controlled.
Yeah, so we're in Greenford East signal box today. A great day for us, a box that was opened in 1905, and originally this area that you see was controlled by 4 signal boxes before a rationalisation scheme in 1952. Space for 76 levers here. We're very proud of our small role that we play in testing the electric trains for GWR.
I asked GWR's managing director, is it strange having modern battery technology alongside old traditional signalling technology?
Yeah, I suppose it is in a way, but the railway's like that all over. You know, you've got loads of examples where we've got modern digital signalling interfacing sometimes with much older stuff. And, you know, like a lot of things on the railway, this is just a historical accident. I mean, British Rail had worked up plans in the late 80s to include this box in the re-signalling, either for Marylebone or for the Paddington signalling when Old Oak Common box moved into Slough New, and it never quite happened. They could never quite get the numbers to add up, never quite get it in past the accountants and the investment schemes. So it's still here today, but of course a lot busier in the past.
Is that the turbo I can hear now?
That's the turbo, yeah. So
it's
it's there, and it's just coming round the corner, and it's going to climb up the bank into the bay platform at Greenford, which again is a little bit of a weird thing, isn't it, having a bay platform in the middle of an underground station that's actually overground, way above ground. But there we go.
We stay at Greenford for a while, long enough to see the battery train leave again. Remember, there's no charging here in the bay platform at Greenford. All the fast charging happens down at the West Ealing end. And then, in the signal box, we noticed that a freight train was coming through, snaking its way through the intricate junction of lines around this area, so we just hung around for 10 minutes to watch that go through. And then got the diesel turbo train back to West Ealing. It's got to lunchtime in our day. We're at West Ealing, sun's out, and I like the arrangement we have here. Do you remember when the Chiltern Parliamentary train used to run from West Ealing? That's now a bus on a Wednesday, by the way. There was a point in the week where the GWR turbo for the Greenford branch and the Chiltern train were both in the platform at the same time. Well, now that's the case here. You've got the regular GWR turbo, and then right behind me here, you've got the battery train. They're both in the platform at the same time. I also want to know and ask, is a battery train, though, really emission-free?
No, it's a really good point. So there's a couple of things you need to check. One is, what are your emissions when you make the things in the first place? Because you've got to make the batteries and you produce emissions making all the stuff. So to make this train, we put out about, I'd say, 350, 400 tonnes of carbon. And then when you compare that with the diesel equivalent service, that puts out around 250, 350 tonnes per year. So within a year, you're broken even on your embodied emissions, you know, what you put out to build this thing. But then day to day, at the power station, if we use like UK average power, that puts out around 200 grams a kilowatt hour. So what, in English, that means this train overall puts out about 80% less emissions every day that it's in operation.
So GWR's intention is to have the battery technology on other branches and other lines on their network. Any train that has electric motors could run off battery power instead. You don't need a third rail or overhead electrification. But in reality, how difficult is that?
So how do we do it? I think what I'd really like to do is get this technology onto new trains. I think, you know, we're very pleased with this trial. We're pleased with what we've learned. The test has passed parameters that we set for it. We're able to fast charge, and, you know, as the team, I think, have told you and showed you, you know, we've tested this train in rain, we've tested it in cold weather, in hot weather, we've tested it fully loaded, and we've really put it through its paces. We've tested it on rails with low adhesion, and it's passed all the tests. So what we need to do is to move forward our new trains project. I think charging from the rail between the two tracks is probably not what we'll be looking to do. I think in the longer term, charging through a pantograph probably works better, and where we've already got electrified railway, we can plug in to that electrification and use the power supply, and particularly on the Great Western network, that's important because there's quite a large amount of unused power in that area.
This is the moment of the day where we stop to have a coffee in the cafe across from West Ealing. We're chatting about the project and the technology and stuff, and they showed me that they've got their own app. So even at any time, anywhere you can monitor your train. So right now, it's arriving at Greenford on 71.2%. Remote monitoring. That's brilliant. Back onto the battery train, and with the white light flashing, showing us that it's charging, it was time to make a special trip. The train is in for its 3:30 trip this afternoon, and this is where we're going to take a special ride. We're literally going to go onto some track where this train has not been before. Here's a diagram. So we're taking the battery train along the new North Main Line. That's the now defunct main line that used to run in and out of Paddington, which did see a daily service until just a few years back when Chiltern used to run a once-a-day parliamentary train. Then HS2 Works came in around the Park Royal area and that service stopped, and no passenger services are scheduled along it. But we're taking the battery train from the Greenford branch over the Western Curve down to that line, then reversing heading east for a short while, see how far we can get, and then reverse back and come along the other curve back down onto the Greenford branch. We're out for a ride again on the train, but we were just chatting like informally over a coffee, which is often the time when more interesting information comes out. But one of the things I was going to ask, I can see now it's saying it's 74%. Does it ever top up to 100% again? What's the, what's the lowest you've ever seen it get to? What's the lowest you've ever dared to take it down to?
We've had the train down to about 15% from time to time.
Did that induce range anxiety?
Initially in the program, it did, but that's because we were learning how much energy the train uses.
Okay.
But now that wouldn't really bother us because we know how far you can go and how you can make it go very, very far.
But typically, do you want to keep it sort of between the 70, 80, 90% range, or do you ever want to top it up to 100%?
We would normally just go 15% to 85%. It's pretty normal just for battery
Anywhere
life.
between 15 and 85 is normal for battery life.
It is for us, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. It depends on the battery. And then to get a view of the rear track we're travelling down, we head to the rear cab. So everything you're about to see here will be out the back of the train. Here's the moment heading north, where we go under the central line. That's on the same part of track that we saw that freight on earlier. And we go past the Greenford East signal box too. We've come to a halt. We've gone past the semaphore on the old new main line, and we're now the driver's going to change ends, and we're going to head east. I don't know how far we'll get down towards Perryvale, but we're going to find out. Back past the signal box on the new North Main Line, and it's along this section that we're side by side with the Central Line. So there's an amusing moment where a Central Line train catches us up. So we're looking out the rear cab view. I really want a moment where a Central Line train sort of passes us by, overtakes us, and I really want the Central Line train driver to go, why is there an old District Line train there running alongside me? Did you wave? They gave us a wave because you waved. She waved back, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Rob gave them a wave. Mark, that's quite a test. We brought an old tube train, now GWR Class 230, onto the new main line for the first time ever.
Yep, no, we've not bought...
And maybe the last time.
Yeah, quite likely in both cases, Geoff.
Gosh, that's very exciting.
Yeah. And I was just trying to think, the last time I came around here was, I think, on an empty stop when we were turning an HST, because that's what we used to do. When HSTs ended up the wrong way around, we'd send them via Greenford.
But you came up here like 20 years ago as a boy, 30 years ago?
Yeah.
Out of Paddington.
Well, I went to school in High Wycombe, so and my favourite locos were Class 50s, so one of my favourite things when we had semaphore signals all the way down the Chiltern was to get to Paddington, get on. I used to have a Paddington Banbury child rate season ticket in the school holidays. Go
on. Sorry. What year was this?
This was 1986, 1987, and then I had to buy an adult one, and it was used to chase Class 50s up and down. Banbury was the same price as Oxford, and in the evening, the 1812 Paddington Banbury would turn right at Old Oak Common. It would come herring down here at 70 miles an hour.
Class 50?
With a Class 50.
Over this non-welded rail?
It was clickety-clack, clickety-clack all the way.
I bet.
Through to Northolt Junction, join the Chiltern, and on a summer's evening like this, to have a Class 50 blasting its way down here was an amazing
Happy days.
experience.
Happy
yeah.
days. This is great though, this is great. Battery
Yeah.
train on the new main line.
Yeah, and we've gone as far as we can, unfortunately.
We get lost in chat, reminiscing about days of old and trains gone by, whilst at the same time being excited about this new technology and what this battery-powered train could mean for the future. We go over the single-track, lesser-used curves on the eastern side of the junction, heading south, back onto the branch line, and eventually back into the bay platform at West Ealing, where the charging mechanism comes into play once more and our journey ends.
And we're starting the charge at a low power initially, and then it will ramp up to full power. And that was my day. That is GWR's brand new Class 230 battery train coming into service soon. No actual date, but just soon is all they'll tell me on the Greenford branch line, and you'll be able to come and ride it and travel on it yourself. And who knows where else this battery technology, exciting times, may end up elsewhere on the GWR network and their branch lines. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.